Anytime. Okay. Come on in, kiddo. Okay, well, you know we're informal, so
Yeah.
take your shoes off, Genevieve. Okay. If you want to give your name, Rick, you want to come in or you want to stay out?
No, I'm just gonna watch my
Well, I need,
I need to put them somewhere so they don't smell.
and she's, well, it's up to you, Genevieve. Do you mind your age and all that? Okay.
We're not gonna use my sound
Okay,
this
so
at all.
basically I don't go into any kind of explanation.
Do whatever you do when you're doing.
So I don't need to explain this to you.
Nope.
Okay, because I didn't want to do that. Okay, so don't.
Do what you want
So
to
just
do.
pretend like you guys are not here at all.
Exactly.
Okay. Feet a little bit apart. Okay. And
You want me to take off this one shirt?
you can if you want.
That includes glasses. Well, I came prepared.
You think your hips are fine?
Yeah. Because, yeah, it feels
And what
like
did you do exactly?
if I was like 30, 40 and pregnant, I'd be going and having a baby. That's the pain I'm having.
What'd you do to yourself?
Moved a
Bend
washer
over?
and a dryer, and
Okay,
I've
good.
been playing like a man.
Okay, and it's hurting you on the right side too?
Yeah, I'm like, kind of like...
Okay, well that's the one that always goes in place for you. So
Yeah.
since we know that you're chronic anyway, and this is high over here, so you know what needs to be done.
Yes.
No?
No, I'm just kind of relax.
Can you do that one more
Relax.
time? Walk back over here. Back over here.
Okay, now I'm
Gotta get my spot.
Just walk back over here like, okay.
Hold on, wait.
Ready? I'm not used to posing.
That's okay.
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 Okay. Think you're ready now, Genevieve? Okay. This is your right side, right?
Yep.
Okay. Now, we didn't write this down, and we have your file here somewhere. but we don't
And it
have the
hurts
right
on that side,
and
yeah.
it's not hurt on- Okay. Okay. Here,
I know you
here,
want an arm.
move this arm up. Or is that on my way?
Do you want an arm too?
No, you're fine.
Okay.
Okay, your foot. Hold it up. Move your arm to the move your picture a little bit.
Do what?
Nope, the left arm. Move your arm. Okay, sorry about this. Okay. Do you feel it move?
Oh, I felt it way up high.
Okay, we'll take a look at it first. If we didn't get it, we'll try it again.
And I heard it too.
Did you hear it? Okay.
Mhm.
Does that feel better to you now?
Yes.
It's a hard move to take.
Mm-hmm.
It hurts a little bit to do it, but it's worth it.
Just a smidgen.
And if it's out for time, then you know it hurts longer in the long run.
Well, 'cause see, I had that sciatic nerve go down my leg that time, and I couldn't even, I was planning on being in a wheelchair the rest of my life, so.
Yeah. So that's how bad that was. And now you don't have to be. Thank God. Let's take a look.
And then I had a, what can I say, a quack worked on me. A perverted
Be nice.
quack.
Be nice. Be
Well,
nice.
in California, so nothing against anybody here.
Okay, now let's take a look. It's level now. It's level now. Does it hurt at all?
No.
No, I don't think so. Walk around with it. Feels good. It's okay? Yeah. Okay.
Feels a whole lot better.
Now, of course, I didn't look at the front. Let me take a look at the front real quick. Of course, we have to go through the asshole. But I do want to check it, just make sure. I want to make sure this is in place. Okay. You know me, I always double check everything.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's level. Okay. Okay, until you put it out of place again, you're...
I will promise I won't have any more appliances.
No more heavy appliances. Get your dolly out, get your buddies to help you. Call me if you have to.
Okay.
I'm willing to help you.
I'll just call them over.
Now, Genevieve, is that how you say it?
Yes.
Genevieve, and how to spell that? G-E-N?
E-V-I-E-V-E.
And your last name?
Gunther. G-U-E-N-T-H-E-R.
Gunther?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you mind being interviewed for the story, or would you rather not?
I can I find someone?
Okay, well, if you don't mind, I'll just basically ask you,
Okay.
how long you've been coming here and how has she helped you?
Can you get mic to her?
Yeah, can we take that microphone off of you, Kelly, and move it on to...
Now, we haven't looked at her head yet.
Oh,
So
okay.
should we go ahead and do
Yeah,
that
go ahead and do
first?
that.
Do everything.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's probably out too.
Yeah, and she's got it grooving. I'm fairly positive. She's this off the record 58, right? I
Right
think.
here. I mean,
And
there's mushroom over here.
so she's got this
Okay.
cut
Oh,
on the
maybe
bone that
so.
hasn't healed yet. At that age, it heals slower than if you were younger. So
Okay.
got to maintain the position long enough to keep it in place to let the thing heal. I can't heal it. I can set it, but I can't heal it.
Well, see, every time I get in a car or a van or something, I like crack my
I
head.
know. If we hear back, close your eyes and sit up straight. Now, generally go to the top of your ears. Pull your hair back behind the top of the top of your ears so I can see this. Okay. Okay. Relax. Relax. Have your ears high on the left side. And your nose is straight. So, I'm going to feel of it. See if I can get any verification states out. And if it's not, then I'm going to move on. Move a little bit. When I say you slip to the right, you know, right? I'm usually making contact over here, right?
I think so.
Hands are not married on, right?
Right.
And you get that. Okay. Same position. That's the one you keep slipping to. Okay, I need a tissue.
Oh.
Okay, and this is the big one. I need to scoot this over. I don't have room to work.
Full.
Okay,
That's
so
probably good. Rick, you gonna step in or you gonna close it just a little bit? Okay.
you gonna shut the door or?
Yeah,
I shouldn't hold on.
There wasn't open on it.
Are you getting, let's test this too. We haven't done this gentlemen, but let's test this first. That hurts you.
Mm-hmm.
Where does it hurt? Over here. Does it go up into the head at all?
I don't think it goes in my head. It just
Does it travel
hurts.
upward?
It's sort of in one place. So.
But it is painful?
Yes.
Okay.
Kind of like a toothache.
Okay, we'll come back to that here in a little bit. Okay.
And my sinuses feel better.
Already?
Wow. You must have loosened something up there.
Now I am going to have to stand where you're at.
Me?
Stand
Sorry.
where you're at. Let's start over here and over there. Okay. Here we go. Okay. Move right in. Okay. 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 You feel something? Mm-hmm. I pulled you up by your back seat, right?
Pretty much.
Okay, now look, put your hair back again.
And it could be the way I'm sleeping too.
Yeah, I'm not sleeping right. I don't really see anything. Your ear is on the left side. You feel it. Feels better there. Okay. And it feels better there. Okay, now.
Can I ask you to do one more favor?
Mhm.
Get back on your knee right here,
Where? Over here?
like you were doing here before you got up, so I can get this shot.
Okay. Like that?
No, running it off. I can, it's like you're listening.
Close your eyes. Put your hair back.
I'll close them all.
You need to be right and straight.
Oh, you're fine. No, you're fine.
Okay, okay. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, now, it feels like it's in place, so now we're going to test it. Now what does that feel like?
It feels better. This side's a little bit sore, but not.
How about this side here?
It's a lot better.
A lot better? Okay. Does it travel upward at all?
Yeah.
Doesn't go to the head at all? Okay, I'm going to hang on to it just a little bit to facilitate this process.
This side is a little bit sore.
Let me know when it goes away. Or feels good, whichever case may be.
Still a little bit, so it's sore. Where your thumb is? Where your thumb is?
Sore?
Yeah.
Does it hurt on the right side, Jill?
No.
Not at all? Which side, what's hurting on the left side?
Uh-huh.
Okay, move to the side now. Sore up there?
A little bit.
And then it goes away. You think you're right now? Does it hurt you at all now?
No.
Okay, how far do we now? Not sore at all now. I'm trying to hurt
Feels-
you right now.
Feels okay.
They don't hurt at all. Okay. I got a good grip on her. How about now?
No.
Okay, sit back in place.
Feels
You need
great.
to come in more frequently, actually, because you left on it. You know that. You're not gonna heal this until you do follow up with me. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I've been busy.
So you're all better now, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And that's it.
Super.
Great.
Yeah. Now, as long as she doesn't hurt the thing, and she gives it a chance to heal longer, it's in place, the more it's gonna heal. She gets it back out of place, it's not gonna heal right.
And then I carry that stupid
And
suitcase
she's,
around.
this is a 30, 40-year-old injury. It hasn't had a chance to heal yet.
Yeah, I had whiplash when my daughter was 2 and she's 37.
Oh, wow. Yep.
So that's been a while.
Mhm.
And then I fell when she was about 2,
We
I
need to get her
think, at the
this.
beach.
Yes.
And that's
Yes.
when my back went out on me, so.
So that's probably at the time.
Do what?
Go ahead. I'm doing with it. I'm not technologically advanced unless it comes to computer. I'm just gonna drop a few things I know, but a few things
And
I
that was
don't
just,
know.
what,
Okay.
there you go.
Okay. You want to do that for her?
Mike
Oh,
here.
oh, for an interview?
Yeah, if you don't mind, that's what I'd asked you
okay.
about.
Okay.
I'll just ask you how long you've been coming here and
How long have you been
How's-
here? February.
how's she
February
doing?
2nd when I first worked on
I have no clue.
it. And you've been in 6 times maybe? Right? I'm thinking. But
You mean
haven't
to be
been
worked
very
on?
much, yeah. I haven't been very much. You need to come in more frequently because I do need
Maybe
you.
8?
Maybe that.
Think it's been that long?
Could be.
6 to 8, something like that. I don't
You want
know.
to put that in your back pocket or?
We've got it
Put
written
what
down.
here?
I'm not completely organized. I'm
Am I supposed to reach it?
fighting this battle and
And put it
preoccupied with
in a
that.
pocket?
You got a pocket or?
I am black, so
Right, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. Do I have to have my glasses on or just leave them on?
No, you
Or-
just-
Maybe if I leave them off,
However you
nobody will
wanna do it.
recognize
However
me.
you want to do it. It's fine with us.
I need to have
I need a
somebody
mask.
come in and do my paperwork for me.
Oh,
I'm doing it all on my own, you know that.
Just do it right
Okay.
here.
Yeah, if you want to borrow it,
Yes,
I'll
ma'am.
just
Hold on.
but she's
Okay.
not.
Okay, we're rolling.
Just look at me, Genevieve.
Oh, okay.
And how do I spell your name on tape for me? G-E,
Genevieve.
and it's Genevieve.
Genevieve.
And your last name, say how I say it,
Gunther.
and spell that.
Guenther.
And basically, how long have you been coming here, and why do you come here? What kind of treatment do you come?
I would think, what, 2 years? Did you say maybe 2 years?
4.
Maybe 4?
No, wait a second. I'm sure. I probably shouldn't even be on this, but let me just clarify real quick. Because you came in first time, I think it was. Well, no, wait a second. You're talking about going back to Grandpa. That was years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Get it together now.
She knew my grandpa.
We're dealing with
Okay.
Alzheimer's here.
That's okay.
That's fine. So, Genevieve, how long? You think it's been how long?
A long time.
And what are some of the problems that you experience with your neck and your back or whatever it is?
Well, I'm not sure about my neck. Well, I grind my teeth, and then I crack my head on a lot of things, like vans and cars and things. And so then that kind of throws my neck out. And then I've had this sciatic nerve down my right leg a long time ago, and it kind of flares up every so often.
And so what kind of relief are you looking for when you come in here?
Well, so I can get around, so I can walk and keep going.
And how has Tammy been able to help you?
Well, she's helped me a whole lot. I mean, she's keeping me going. And then I had a pain, or like from an aneurysm in my foot, And when she put my hip back in place the first time, well, that pain had went away. So that was something we weren't expecting at all.
And I'm sure you're probably aware of the battles that she's facing right now. Does that bother you at all when you come in here, or are you feel completely confident?
Well, I feel confident because when someone's doing something that's right, I mean, they're going to win in the long run. So.
Okay. Anything else you want to add or say that I didn't ask you? Any other comments?
Well, people need to be informed before they make a judgment. I mean, they should experience something before they make judgments, because people need to know both sides to something before they go deciding that this is wrong and this is right. Because, and I know, well, this one chiropractor in California, he had treated me for, I think, my sciatic nerve, and I went to like doctors. I went to hospitals. They wanted to put me in traction when I had this sciatic nerve problem. I couldn't. I had to like roll out of bed and crawl on the floor just to get around. I mean, like I was in so much pain. And first guy we went to, he was like a pervert. Can I be real, like, honest and truthful?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this first guy that we went to when I was out in California, because I was pretty desperate after I went to the hospitals and the doctors trying to get relief, and they just gave me pain pills. And then I was taking more and more and more, and it didn't help. And so I didn't want to get addicted to anything, because I don't do drugs. And so this one chiropractor we went to, well, when he'd work on me, he was like, can we close this door? He was like, shh, close your ears and don't you listen to me. I came this morning and I didn't like, you know. And then, and so my mother and I, we like found out he was like doing some stuff he shouldn't have been doing that along that line. I mean, not with whoever I guess he could try to do it with. And some of his office work helped. And so we quit him. And so then some time had went on. I don't know, this must have been going on for about a year or more. And so then we were going by this other chiropractor's office. And I didn't even know who he was or anything, but he did help me. You know, it was like 30 years ago. At least about 30 years ago. So.
Okay.
But then I come here and I haven't really been seen by nobody, so, until Tammy. So, and she's helped me a lot. So.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very different, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
No chiropractor do what I just did.
No. No.
Okay.
No, too much.
Where should we talk to? Where should we talk to Tammy?
Now, I will say, too, the chiropractors are trying to say, and I know you've talked to them, and I know what their story is, they're trying to say that they've given me a cease and desist order. And what they did was that when I sent them the 9th and 10th Amendment Declaration, which is posted right there, which makes it legal for me to work, Bill of Rights, etc., they tried to say at that point in time that it was chiropractic, and I got the meeting done there. And he was there with me, and he was in the room and everything, and they did not, once I met with them, give me an order to cease and desist. Of course, you're going to hear that from me, but
They told
he was
her
there.
that they were not the governing board for this particular thing that she was doing, but if they heard any problems, they would investigate, especially if anybody reported being hurt. As of now, for years later, nobody reported being hurt,
The only
and there has
people
been no
was complaining was the
investigation.
doctors.
I was there to see
You taking the
that.
photo?
This was in front of the
guess you could say that.
chiropractic board.
So the newest thing is that
The newest thing is, now it's
the
public because
Pegasus
of all
and
the
the
politics involved, and so they're playing their game that they played 3 years ago, but now instead of the Board of Chiropractic Examiners, it's the city doing it instead, and they're acting stupid like they don't know what's going on, like it's just a new thing. It's 3 years old, and they all know who's in power, they all know who I am, and they all know what this is about. They're lying. And that's politics.
You want to do it on your, in your desk, or where do you want to do it?
Here's fine with me, but the other room is cluttered kind of.
Yeah.
But I'm just thinking you might have wanted to hear from him as far as, you know, the testimony, because he was there.
No. We'll listen to you. Do your thing. We just
oh
do-
no,
Yeah,
Got
I don't
that
know
through
what I'm
with
doing.
him?
Drop this through? Okay. So So it's good enough to have my testimony.
I feel better now, Genevieve.
I appreciate it. Because I'm always like, okay, I've got a witness. And I'd like to say, too, that, and I did check with an attorney on this, in the state of Oklahoma, I understand that it's perfectly legal to be able to tape a conversation as long as one party's aware of it.
Right.
There is I have like a 20-minute tape in the other room. Me and Dr. Smith, Tom Smith, and we are in debate. He didn't know the tape was going on. He was over my husband's case, which of course if anybody's going to have reservations for, but he said it should be him. He wasn't involved with it.
Can we move this now?
Oh yeah, go ahead, move it around. Yeah, okay. Anyway, me and Tom Smith are in debate over the field, just between me and him in closed room, and it's very interesting. And I mean, I tried to release the tape. It got blocked because of the, I guess it was afraid of what the city might do about it. I was afraid about the Tom Smith thing, bring down on him, but I have it. And I'm wanting to release it in certain areas. It's kind of boring in some areas. It is technical, the same field, like I said. But it still shows evidence of his respect for me and Grandfather's work and exactly what my credentials are and my accountability, which we're screaming about. He knows. And I did work on Tom Smith. In fact, he was the first chiropractor I ever worked on, and that was back in 1991. 4 years later, he became the board of chiropractors of Delmos. So he knew about it way before he ever did. 1992, 93, 94, I think he was the vice president. So he's, you know, pulling the strings up there. And it's all about this. He wanted to get in on it. Grandpa wasn't impressed, I guess you could say. And Grandpa's kind of like me, told him to go to hell, basically. So, what do you mean? I guess exactly, I'm more like Grandpa.
Can you come over this way so you're not down? There you go.
So,
Okay, so
am
that one
I
picture.
okay here? The sound?
Yeah, you're fine.
I'm hot. Is anybody else hot?
Me too.
I'm not.
Try to scoot over.
Nice cold.
You go by Tammy Jo,
Tammy,
Joy,
Tammy.
or just
And it
Tammy?
is Joy, but Tammy.
Just
Tammy's
Tammy
fine.
Kennedy.
Yeah.
Okay.
I never picked up my middle name until I gave my daughter,
Or her married name.
and I still have my maiden name. I told my husband, joking around, I said, we'll put a Kennedy in the office before there's a little Harris. And I am past 35 now. So, name recognition, I'm number one in the world if you go to the internet. Tammy Kennedy, that's me. So, who knows, I may one day think about running. I don't know, that's the future.
You really? Tammy, basically tell me, what is the problem that you're dealing with now? If you can, just kind of put it in a
The
nutshell for
politics,
me.
you mean?
Or just, you know, they're trying to shut you down. What's the complaint?
The complaint is from doctors, and I think that pretty much says it. It's not my client base that's worried about it. I tell everybody that ever comes to me, this is not chiropractic, this is not osteopathy, this is not medicine. This is what it is. I explain it to them in terms that they can understand. I have this bones over here and the skull. I don't have it pulled out, but it's in here. I have the real bones. I explain it to them. I give them the opportunity to understand it for themselves. If they have reservations or concerns, they're free to walk out the door. You know, I'm not going to twist their arm. If I have reservations or concerns that I might hurt them, I make it aware to them. You know, I tell them about it. They sign a release form. You know, risk/opportunity. It's what we live with every single day. And I leave it up to them. And, you know, like I said, my client base doesn't care.
If it's not chiropractic, then how do you describe it to people? What I call it?
My title is a nerve signal interference specialist. The field itself is called nerve signal interference removal. My grandfather, Dr. Creighton, had a pamphlet that he advertised in a chiropractic journal. I think it was in the 80s. It was a little segment. I think he was asking for $3, and I do have that pamphlet here. And at the beginning of it, it says, "Learn how to become an NSI specialist." And I think the nerve signal interference was like NSI, and the nerve signal interference specialist. He wanted the chiropractors to basically come up to speed, I guess you could say. He wanted to educate them because he could do things that they could not, and they knew it. They gave him the Texas Chiropractic College's Centennial Award, 1995, the big, you know, big shebang. They never did it, I guess you could say.
This field, how popular is this? Are you among the few, or how many people are?
I'm one. I am the only one that's credentialed. I have been on a hunt for other people that, because I do know he taught a lot of doctors. In 1976, I think it was the Texas Chiropractic Association. He was like the main speaker. And I have a document that goes all the way back to 1954, Mom had in her file. And the testimony at that point in time was, we're going to forego all the formalities just to be able to have the opportunity to listen to this man. He's so important. He's so well educated. We want every bit of his time. So back in 1954, they documented his importance. 1976, he's the speaker, I think, again, it's the Texas Chiropractic Association. He was on the podium. I have pictures of that.
In Houston.
In Houston. He was in Houston. And he taught doctors. So I went looking for them, and I did find a small group down in Texas and then one down in Louisiana that claimed to do what they call the Creighton method. Now, Grandpa told me that nobody actually kept in contact with him, so he never could actually back any of them. Although he made the effort to show them, and did show them, they weren't keeping in contact with him. They weren't keeping up to speed. And he kept telling me, he said, the research is moving forward. They're missing out because I'm learning more. I'm not having an opportunity to know what I know now because they're not checking in. And he was very concerned about that.
Now, if you're the only one in this field, is this something that you've kind of, I guess, created on your own in an area that you can stand on, or how?
Grandpa defined it, I guess you could say. And then, of course, my initial hope was to be able to work with the chiropractors. In fact, Grandpa sent me out there, Tammy, go find a chiropractor. I need somebody to carry this ball. And I went out there in 1991 when I worked on Tom Smith. I was there for the purpose of getting him into Grandpa to have Grandpa teach him. I went to Dr. Frank Capshutter. Same thing. Instead of him coming to learn the work from my grandfather, he's wanting me to work on him. And I did it. I went over to Tulsa June 21st, 2000, same thing. I need somebody to learn the work. Again, I'm there to work on them. Now, I will say, Kent Bartell is his name over in Tulsa. He did allow for a small study, I guess you could say. 6 of his problem cases, the ones he could not affect, came in. I saw every single one of them. It was wonderful. They all lined up for me that day. I don't know when I had that. And I was the specialist. The doctor was assisting me. He watched me for 2.5 hours. I worked on him, his wife, and his receptionist. And they all had their heads out of place, and they all had their pelvis out of place, just like you saw me fix. And I have no idea what he's doing with it. I didn't make him sign a document. I guess you sound very naive and foolish even sometimes, because I hope so much and I'm willing to lay so much on the line.
Now, did you learn a lot of what you know from your grandfather? Tell me about
Everything
him.
I know, I learned from him, as far as this is concerned. And I spent 12 years to receive my accreditation. Well, I guess you could say, I don't even know if you call it accreditation, except for that there's no, if there was a college that taught this, it would be Creighton. He did give me my credentials, which is basically a signed document. I told the liaison of the Board of Chiropractic Examiners back in 2001, November 8th, I said, I realize he's my grandfather. I realize I'm his granddaughter. They can argue, the chiropractors can argue that he just handed it to her. You know, she didn't have to earn it. She didn't have to be credentialed. She didn't have to know it. He just handed it to her. I said if that was the case, there'd be 8 of us because there's 8 grandkids. I said even my licensed osteopathic cousin does not have this. He could have. He didn't. Grandpa said he was going to have to ask for it. He didn't. I said, I'm the representative of my grandfather's, Dr. Creighton's, life's work. You just have to know the man to know what he would do. And he's not just going to hand this over to somebody who's not going to know what they're doing. It took me 12 years for him to hand it to me.
So why did you never go to chiropractic school?
Because they don't know what they're doing. As Grandpa would say, it's, how would he put that? Their entire profession, their entire field, all of their methods, all of their philosophy is based on a lie. The entire thing. That's not from my words. That's not from my mouth. That's not from my mind. That's from him. And the reason why that is true is because the entire profession is based on what they call a vertical subluxation. A subluxation is a partial dislocation, and you can look in the chiropractic literature. You can say, you know, they don't even know what it is. One person says it exists, one person says it doesn't. One person says it's this, one person says it's that. You know, they call it a complex, you know. He said it is a compensation. Yeah, there's a twist and a curve in the spine. It's a compensation, but there's a reason for it to compensate. The chiropractors are dealing with the spinal column. I don't deal with the spinal column. I don't manipulate the spine. I position the head on top accurately. I position the pelvis underneath accurately. When you get those joints to where they work right, the stress naturally comes off of the column and the body will reverse the compensating condition on its own.
So how are you different from chiropractors?
Well, I think I just said that.
I mean, you're telling me though that your goal is not to keep patients. It's
Right. My goal, Grandpa always said, he wanted them out of his hair. My goal is to get them well and get them out. And I do realize after 20 or 30 years, which I see those cases, it's going to take you time to get an opportunity to heal up. If you get hurt, it's a new injury, you're young, chances are real good if you get it fixed right away, you're not going to have a problem. If you let that joint sit out of place for a decade or two, you're going to have degeneration, you're going to have wear and tear. It's not going to be formed right. It's not going to work right. You're going to have deposits in there. Soft tissues are going to be inflamed and have what you call tonoplast in it, and that's handled by acupressure. So I do that too. But my goal is to set the joint, get rid of the tonoplast, and send them out there and let them have an opportunity to heal. Health. True health. Freedom, basically.
So what happens now? Because I know you're kind of, this has been going on for a while, but it's kind of gotten a little heated again
Yeah.
lately. What's happening there?
No. It has to do with freedom of speech. And all I can say in America, that the two authoritative bodies is the church and the state. I went to the state. The state failed. I went to the church. The church failed. I guess you say I've been obstinate and stubborn in my rights as an American citizen to be heard, to offer this for two things. I want to help people, and I need to survive in this. This is what I do. For me to continue to give it away like I have is criminal for the population to expect it. Because I can't do that. Nobody would be willing to even do what I've done already. And I've done it for the sake of proving the science. They want credibility. The camera is running. They want credentials. Come talk to me about the science. It's logical. There's a discovery. I'll show you this. Sorry. It's on my door. This is, and I'm glad I remembered this. My grandfather, in 1985, my cousin Joel, who's now a licensed osteopath, he was not licensed at the time, and a Dr. Carnes, C-A-R-N-E-S, I don't know his first name, Ph.D., got together at the Osteopathic College in Fort Worth, Texas, and they did a dissection of 2 cadavers. And before they did that, my grandfather, of course, had the opportunity to pore over these bones right here, and they are real. In the textbooks, and if anybody wants to get one of the textbooks out there, there's 3 of them out there, grab probably the McKinn's, I think. No, wait a second. Grab the black one. Okay, how much time we got? 2 minutes. Okay, I gotta hurry. No, not that one. The
Not
black
that
one.
one.
Anyway, in all of our
colors.
textbooks, we went in hang on a second.
Which one do you want, the other one?
The
Black one, I think she said?
I think there's a black, one with the black on it.
This one?
Yeah, that's it. Hang on a second, let me find it. This is our textbooks. And this is what's being taught in the biology, this, no, the other one, sorry, my mistake. The other one. They're all in there, but the real clear one is coming up.
Get it together.
No, I don't know which one's which. Okay, look, I'm looking at it, okay. No, this is not it. The other one.
No.
Yeah, McMinn. I'm sorry.
I already gave it to you.
This is right. This is right. My mistake. I didn't look at it. My
She
mistake.
was the first one to give her.
I got it right. I just didn't look at it. My mistake. We are humans. We are
Lord,
fallible.
woman.
That's why I always check on things. Even doctors. They're still humans. They're fallible. Okay, here we go. I guess I can show this to you here. This is our textbook, and they are teaching this in I don't care, 2-year, 4-year, even the medical institutions, I do believe. Vital mass is inferior articular facet. This whole surface right here, they're saying it is a facet, which is an articular surface where bones come together to make a joint. They're saying there's one here, says it's kidney-shaped. The actuality of the situation is that there's actually a joint here and a joint here. There's 2 of them. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
And they're saying that's one surface. The truth is that there's 2 there.
Well, in 1985, Grandpa proved that in osteopathic college down in Fort Worth. They're still not listening to that. Nobody's wanting to say, yeah, that's the case. The entire technique, as far as positioning the head on top, the atlanto-occipital joint, and the positioning of how my grandfather did it, the whole technique is based on that fact. They don't know the architectural design of the joint, so how can they actually accurately adjust it where it needs to be?
And Pegasus, tell me briefly about that whole thing. You're wanting to get that back on the air?
It will go back on the air. The thing is, right now, being that I'm going through the appeal process, and I guess it comes down to if I can get the appeal overturned, then the show that got me thrown off is going to be allowed to be seen again. If it doesn't overturn, then I guess you could say I'm going to have to take out the so-called commerciality, which does not exist, and run it again, you know. But my conscience still will name the doctors that were in charge of her care at the time of her death. And that's the reason why this whole thing is even begun.
Oh, it's not because it's too commercial as far as like where you're located and the fact that you see clients?
No.
Okay.
Wendy Quarleston, I said, between you and me, Wendy, what do you think? She said, I can't see this. She said, but if I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, she said, it's a mighty gray area. And I think they're grasping at straws.
And that was a 90-day suspension, and
Yes.
they're appealing that?
Yes.
Okay.
And they're supposed to have the appeal committee formed today, I believe.
Okay.
So,
Anything else you want to add or say that I didn't ask?
mm,
I know there's a lot to this.
it's huge. All I can say really and basically is that I'm standing by my grandfather's work, I'm standing by his hope for the world, I'm standing by my call from God. And it does go back that, I mean, it goes that high. There's nothing that the state or the church can put over God. So,
So you're going to continue on?
yes.
And
Unless, of course, they throw me in jail, and then I can't see how that would happen except for to say that there's a miscarriage of justice. So, I'm in it until they do something stupid, I guess you can say.
And I would say that the ones that's been helped by you is going to stand behind you too.
Well, I would hope that they would do that. But, you know, people are very strange.
Are those like your credentials that your
Yes.
grandfather?
The one in the middle is the document that actually got me past the board. Without that, in fact, a massage therapist told me when I told him about the work, he ripped his non-contaminant declaration off the wall and said, take this as a prototype, craft it for your own cause. He said, if you do not do this, he said, they will stop you. When I put that document in their hands, that's when I got their attention. Up until that point, I'm sure they were laughing at me. So obviously it's a very powerful document. And heck if I know. All I know is that I did what he told me to do. The one,
You and your grandfather right here?
yes, it's me and Grandpa. The one above is my actual certificate. This is my certificate.
From your
That's
grandfather?
my certificate. This is my response to the chiropractors when I approached them saying, hey, let me work with you. They refused. And this is a reference that Grandpa gave me. I think that was June of 1999. I didn't ever date it, but it was June of 1999.
Your grandpa was a chiropractor for how long here?
Here, he was here from 31. No, I say here. He was at the tower in 31. He got here in, I think, in 29. And left in 57, Mom tells me. And he moved out of the tower. We don't really know when, but he went to...
So he was a chiropractor here like 30 years?
Yeah.
Is that accurate?
Yeah, 35, probably close.
Okay, 35.
29, 39, 40, yeah, more than 30. Wait a second. 29, 39, 49. Yeah, approximately 30 years.
Okay.
Probably just under.
Tell her how old he was.
Huh?
Tell her
How
how old he
old? When he died, he was 99 years, 6
Oh, really?
months and a week.
Wow.
He passed the halfway mark. He said technically that made him 100. He wanted to live to be 100. So
Yeah.
he did count the time in the womb, and he did it.
So he kind of passed the torch on to you, so to speak?
Oh, yes. He passed the torch. And I spent the time with him. I mean, like I said, Grandpa wasn't going to give me my credentials unless I proved him. And it took me 6 years to prove to him that I wasn't going to quit. He kept thinking I was going to quit. He said, she's going to cave. You know, she's not going to do this. She's not going to carry it. 6 years later, he finally said, you know what, you're tenacious. Okay. I'm going to take you seriously.
How long did you work beside your grandfather?
The
Did
thing
you
is-
work like in the office with
Well,
him?
the thing is that he wasn't practicing. He was retired.
Oh.
But yeah, as far as a clinical case, if I had somebody, I'd take them to him, and he would oversee my work in action. So we did have that. And, you know, you have your internship. I had an internship under my
Right.
grandfather.
When I met Grandpa in 91 myself, I had been having some really bad migraines for about 6 months.
You've
I
got
went to
cold
some
right now.
doctors here in town, and I went to some chiropractors here in town, and was given, like Genevieve said, some pain pills. I went to her grandpa down there in Texas. She told me your head's all crooked. I told her she was full of that.
Oh, that's crazy.
I didn't know anything about this, okay? I told her my head's all fine. Anyway, make a long story short, I went to see Grandpa that morning in Texas, and after 15 minutes of popping me and manipulating my neck, I was able to do things that I wasn't able to. I mean, it was just instantaneous relief. What I'm trying to tell you is, I used to get migraine headaches, okay? I used to get really bad
I didn't
migraines.
know you guys had-
13 years later, I don't get any
So no,
because
me,
of
all
what
of
her
it.
and Grandpa did.
You have to unhook this for me. Sure, 'cause I didn't know.
Grandpa was something special. Grandpa was very special.
Oh, and this is curiosity, I don't know if you know this or not, but it's been published. And right now, I will say that my mom's published an article, the Texas Journal, what is it? Journal of Chiropractic Medicine. There's an article right now called, I think it's Earl Franklin Creighton, A Man to Remember. My mom wrote a memorial to him, and they published it. And currently, right now, Dana Lawrence is the editor. I have an open invitation to write a paper for publication. But the
Yeah.
grieving process, I haven't got there yet.
Your problems really started like in, was it like 2000 or was it 2001 with them wanting to try to shut you down? It's been going on how
Well,
long?
I guess you could say I've been screaming at the wall for 16 years now, beating my head trying to get them to listen to me, finding a chiropractor that nobody's doing anything with it.
Mhm.
So, I basically decided that I was going to have to, being that they would not learn it, I was going to have to do it myself. If it was going to survive, I was going to have to carry it. So then, of course, it became, instead of looking for a chiropractor to learn it, it became me just telling the chiropractors, okay, get out of my way. You know, if you're not going to do the job right, I will, basically. And then that became an issue, I guess you'd say, in 2000.
Okay.
Started in July. I, again, at that point in time, said, hey, let me work with you on this project. They refused. In November of 2000, that ended up on their desk, and that basically gave me the opportunity to go into private practice. I didn't have the money to do it. When Grandpa died, Mom inherited, and then, of course, some money was set aside. Not enough, but that's the reason why I have the office and have become a presence. They wouldn't take me seriously. I was working on my home. Nobody would take me seriously until I opened up the office.
Okay. And then and you're saying the cease and desist, that's not true.
No, they sent
they
me a
never
letter.
told her that.
They sent me a letter, and then, of course, when they're saying cease and desist practicing chiropractic is what they were saying. I wasn't practicing chiropractic, and so I called them up and said, this is not chiropractic, and they disagreed. So I said, okay, well, you're going to have it out with me. So they had to put me on the agenda. And they put me on the agenda, and when I met with them, they did not at that point tell me to cease and desist. So although they've got a document that says that they did, we had a
They
meeting
never said
after that, and
that.
they never said that. In fact, I went to Walter Jenney, and I said, well, I get a document that says this is not chiropractic. He said no, and they laughed at me. And then I addressed them. I said, I can understand that you guys might be concerned about me hurting somebody in chiropractic's name. And I said, but don't be concerned. If I do that, it's not going to be, it's not chiropractic. If I help somebody, it's not chiropractic. So,
Now, are you, like, I know the article said you're in the phone book under chiropractic.
chiropractic, but I made sure they differentiated because it is, the cornerstone of the work is adjustment. It's adjustment. And so I need to be in amongst that group to be able to be in the public eye because I advertise under massage therapy and everybody wants a massage. Well, the cornerstone of the work is adjustment. So I tell them about that and they think, oh, that's not what they want. So for me to actually be able to compete with these guys, I have to be under the chiropractic head. But in the advertisement, I made sure that they differentiated certified nerve signal interference specialist, and that is how it's listed.
Okay.
I never made a claim to be a chiropractor. I'm competition. In fact, right now I'm trying to get the SBC to put a heading under their nerve signal interference specialist, or you know, properly categorize me because I'm so unique and it is what it is. The only place they could categorize me, and that was their decision, by the way, was to put me under chiropractor.
Okay. so. Okay, is that all right?
Mhm.
You're sweating to death, aren't you?
It's hot.
Working it.
I'm sorry about that.
Well,
It
Jamie,
was
I
hotter
sure
earlier. I opened
appreciate
up the
it.
windows for a little while.
No, I'd have to just go around y'all, means they have to do double time.
Oh, really? How far do people come to see you?
Washington.
The farthest one is from Washington, but that's of course her kin.
Mm.
But yeah,
He
Washington.
had my
Woodward.
lupus.
Woodward.
So he came this
um,
summer and she was able to work.
I've
with
gone
him.
over to Tulsa and worked over there.
100%.
Right.
I don't know. I want to see Tiger Woods come in. And I know he's got back problems. No, if Tiger Woods hit Enid, I'll tell you, they'd pay me attention then. And I mean that sincerely. And I think it'd be a pretty easy case. He's young. I pretty much know what's wrong with him. But there's nobody else out there doing this, so he's going to have an ongoing back problem. Unless he hears about him.
Okay, well, we're gonna hit the road. Thank you so much.
Thank y'all very much for your
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
You got the mic?
You got what?
You do?
I'm ready to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank